Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Marissa, I'm on the call as well. This is Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
So we're all here. Is Adam on?
I'm here.
Adam, you are here? Okay, great. Okay, it is 6 o'clock, is it? Right on the money. Okay, good evening. We'd like to start our council meeting. And before we do that, we'd like to invite everyone to, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So,
Mayor, hold on just a second. I don't know if Megan has started the meeting yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Megan, is the meeting open to the public yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I invite everyone to start with me. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
We don't have any actual changes, but there is a discussion item that will need to be done before the consent. So we'll need to take item 6.1 prior to the consent calendar.
Okay, we'll do that first. Okay. Do we have council's a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 And I also vote aye. Awards presentations, we have none. Item 3 is citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item within the jurisdiction of the Council. Members of the public, when recognized by the Mayor, should come forward to the second. Identify yourself. Please use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting law, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening, and all items will be referred to the report. Do we have anyone who wants to make any comments from the citizens?
I don't have any. Sorry, this is Megan Dodd. I don't have anyone on the chat yet. I don't know if you want to give a minute or so for people to speak up, but no one as of now.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know what?
Mayor, can you ask for the public or anyone on the call to mute their phones? It sounds like someone's driving and some background noise, and also it sounds like someone else is coughing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really getting a lot of feedback. Okay, if that sounds better. Okay, you know what, Megan, could we, if anyone comes on, could you just let us know, and then, you know what, we'll come back to them, okay, for citizens' comments?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Public hearings, we have none. And then we're going to do, before we do the consent calendar, we're going to do item 6, which is ordinance presentation, discussion, and potential action items. That is one item. That is discussion and direction regarding fiscal year 2020-21 budget. Marissa.
Thank you. So this item on the agenda does allow the council to discuss the budget. It is like a budget workshop, so you can make any changes or recommendations that you would like. I did make some modifications to the last version of the budget that was presented to you. As staff, we're recommending that you adopt it as is, but you do have the ability to make changes. If you choose to adopt it tonight, it is on the consent calendar for adoption. But the changes really from the last budget version that you saw, that budget included some changes that came from direction of the council as far as eliminating the treasurer position, eliminating pay for planning commission. That has since been added back into this version because that did not pass at the last meeting. We also realized that there was a 0 missing in one of the expenses for the fire department, so we added that back in and corrected that. And then for the police officer positions, the direction from the council at the last meeting, we had informed you that we were told from the school district, from Coalinga Huron Unified School District, that they did not intend to fund the school resource officer position for the first semester of the school year, and they may be willing to fund it for the second semester. And we hadn't officially gotten word from the college, but we all were sort of under the impression that they wouldn't fund it because they were making cuts at the college. But we did become aware today that they are funding, the college is funding the campus police officer position. So that's been adjusted in the budget. And so the budget before you includes not funding the one school resource officer position that's assigned to the school district until they decide that they need that position and they fund it. That position is vacant. And those are really the only changes. And if you adopt the budget that is in front of you, it is a balanced budget, and our revenue would exceed our expenses by about $20,000, so that is in the positive, and that's what we would like for you to do tonight. However, this is a budget workshop, and so you can make changes to it if you'd like, and then we'd have to bring it back to you for consideration at another meeting.
Council, any questions or comments? Or any item that you want to discuss in regard to this? Seeing none?
No, we aren't going to fill it or fund it.
I think that I have something.
Okay. Okay.
I think that we need to fill and fund the officer opening. However, we're going to finagle that. There was a shooting today at noon, and there was only one sergeant and one officer on the street, and it was a lot to manage the scene and talk to the people and stuff like that. There's been quite a few shootings pretty much on a daily basis. So we're putting our public safety at risk for not only them, but the officers. I mean, the citizens.
Darren, would you, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, today around noon we had a shooting. 2 shots were fired over by the Westwood apartment complex at 2 individuals that were not struck. My commander was in Fresno delivering evidence to the sheriff's department and to DOJ. And I had 1 sergeant and 1 officer on duty that had to handle the whole scene by themselves. They didn't have a cover car that came in until 2 o'clock. So they were 2 hours before they had their extra help come in. The last 2 nights we've had a shooting over in the Warden Valley area and another one over in that same area. The last 2 nights, no one was struck. Just residents and cars were hit. So our shootings are picking up. We are going to do some proactive policing over the weekend, and we've requested Magic to come in to assist us as well.
Council, based on that information, anybody want to elaborate on that issue?
Now, did those officers that she's asking to fund, did they just work for the police department? I mean, not the police department, the school district?
So the officer who would be assigned to the school district is primarily based at the school district. They will report to the police department during the summer and Christmas break, spring break, anytime school's not in session. And even when they are at the school, if there's a priority call or some type of emergency that comes in, they will respond from the school.
So if we brought that position back, this would be a separate position.
So you would basically be adding an additional police officer position to patrol.
And the money would come from
The city's general fund.
Which is an additional $19,000.
So we're not changing our numbers on patrol, is that right? We'd still have the same officers in patrol?
Currently, with the budget that is before you, yes. So I'll do this, I'll explain it historically just so everyone understands it. So we had 13 officer through chief sworn positions, and then we had 2 that were the school resource officer and the campus police officer. So essentially we had 15, but 13 that were sworn and on patrol or not assigned to the school district or the college. But we'll set those 2 aside because that sort of confuses people. So we had 13 essentially on patrol, but that's not 13 officers, which I think a lot of the public assumes. That's officer through chief, 13 sworn. And then you added 2 more to that 13 with the Measure J revenue. So that brought that number to 15. And then the chief was able to add a 16th with the COPS grant. So you have essentially 16 that are assigned to patrol or open for patrol. And then you have the 2 that were sort of off to the side as the school resource officer and the campus police officer. But those can always be called to assist with patrol if need be, and they are available to patrol during breaks from the schools. And so what happened now is the budget you see, the college district stated that they will fund for the entire school year, so that's your 17th sworn body. The position that we're discussing right now is the 18th, which is vacant, and would be primarily assigned to the school. The school is not funding it, at least for the first semester. And so my understanding of what Councilwoman Stoles is saying is fill that 18th position, have them be an 18th body on patrol, and if the school comes back in January and says we need them and we're going to fund them, then we assign them to the school at that time. If that doesn't happen, then they just stay on as patrol. Is that correct?
Yes. So if I did the math right, Adam, check my math. I think that's only going to put us 76,000 in the hole.
Now, is that for the whole year? Is that 96,000 funding it for the whole year?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if the school comes back, they'll pay half of it after that.
Right.
So it could be down to 45.
Which would then take us down to 6,000.
Just for the record, Tanya, you said 76,000?
Yeah, it's going to be 96,000 to fund the position that I'm wanting to fund for the year. So if you take the 20,000 away that we're currently in the black, then that should leave us a deficit of 76,000 on the budget. And then if the school does in fact pick that up in January, you could probably cut that off by another 40 grand, leaving us roughly 30,000 in the deficit.
That sounds about right from just looking at it. I don't mind having another officer, but I just want to make sure that we're not deficit spending to do it.
I'm sorry, you're not what?
I said I don't mind having another officer. I just want to make sure we're not deficit spending to do it.
Oh, I agree.
So if we can find a way to cut $40,000, I'm all for it. And I know we can start with $10,000 from our travel budget. We can start there. I don't know if anybody else has any more ideas outside of that.
My idea on that is, like I said before, if we cut that 10,000 now, and council wants to go to training in the latter part of the fiscal year, we have to come back to council and ask for approval, which we would probably get. So what's the difference between approving additional funding for officers?
Well, the difference is whether or not we're going to go into debt or not. I guess I would say the answer to that is. I mean, if we go into deficit and we say later on and we're still in deficit at say January, and we decide we want to go travel and we have to go to council before that, I think it would be hard for any of us to actually approve it if we're really in the red. And Jasmine, these revenue numbers are kind of hard to tell exactly where we're really at. These are kind of a guess, right? Because we don't know exactly how hard the whole virus is going to hurt us.
That's correct. It's our best guess forward at this moment in time with the information we have today.
Okay, so that's my thing. If we can find a way to pay for it, I'm all for it.
Any other thoughts? Tony, go ahead.
I have a question for the chief, Aaron. So
Yes,
we
I'm
call
here.
it magic. That's just like a one-time fix every time we call to clean it up until we have to have them come in and clean it up again.
Pretty much. They're there to assist us when we need the assistance. And whenever we call, they will try and fit it in their schedule to come out. I can't guarantee that every time I call for their assistance that they will respond, because they have other stuff they have to do within the county. So I can't guarantee that they will come every time I ask for them.
Now, do we have an officer that works with Magic?
No, we do not.
No.
So
No,
I'm
we didn't do-
back to my thoughts on willing to go in the deficit in the long run, $30,000 roughly, for the safety of the citizens, the public safety, the officers going in the scene before a fire gets there. That's my 2 cents.
Any other comments on that issue? Amen.
I have some public comment. This is Megan Dodd.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, from a man named Morris. He wanted me to read his comment. He stated, Councilman Atkinson has pushed hard to cut our police officers. This would be an indescribable danger to our citizens. I asked the other council members to please not allow that. He has suggested numerous times cutting our police department budget, which would be suicide. And then Nathan Vosberg has a comment, so I'm going to unmute him right now so he can make his comment.
Okay, thank you.
Nathan, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just 3 years ago, we were cutting positions in order not to be in the position. And here we are again. We've added positions, building our way back up in order to provide good public safety and good fiscal responsibility at the same time. And that $30K that you're looking at, if you really wanted to cut it, what you would do is you would cut council benefits. The health insurance alone for the mayor and for Stoltz is $23K. If you add the $18,000 in pay, that's $41,400 that you could take out, and then you guys could get your police officer. But I'm guessing no one's willing to do that. Another thing I'd like to point out is that last meeting the mayor had said that he would be paying money to be on council. That's not true. What is true is that he's using most of his money in order to pay for the insurance for him and his family, which, you know, that's great. I never took insurance when I was on council, just letting everybody know. Never did that. I think that you should be fiscally responsible, and I think you should stop allowing council members to use the city budget in order to campaign, because that's what's happening. People are looking for recommendations from the POA and from other people to say, hey, we support this person. And so they're out there saying, hey, we need these extra positions, which guess what? We all want to be safe. But those positions come with ramifications. They come with ramifications because every year CalPERS goes up. Every year insurance goes up. Every year everything goes up. So approving one position is exponential. And that will hurt everyone else in the long run. And it's not fair because the very first thing that we had decided on Measure J was that we were going to be fiscally responsible. $1 million in Measure J money, and here we are talking about going into deficit. You've had cannabis money, and I highly doubt that $755K that you guys are talking about is going to come through. I don't know if you've revised that number. I'm guessing you haven't. But when it doesn't come through, I'm going to be right here saying, I told you it wasn't going to come through. And here we are budgeting for extra people that we cannot afford. Once again, I definitely support public safety. Most of the money from the city goes to public safety, but we have replaced a lot of positions that we had cut, and now is not the time to go back into deficit. And I think if you want to go into deficit and you want to use it for a campaign, then go ahead and take it right out of your own budget. Take it from yourselves. You have $41,340 a year you can save. That's $414,000 over 10 years. You guys want to play the hero role? Here you go. Here's a chance. Go ahead and remove your own pay like you did the city treasurer's insurance and take yourself down to the $50 amount that the planning commission's on too and get some savings that way. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
I'll just bounce off that. In the last 2 years, we've actually increased the police budget $650,000. So I don't. Someone said we decreased or we're cutting the budget. No, we're not. It's increased since 2019, $650,000.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, Chief, kind of rewind me a bit on this one. How many were on duty at the time of the shooting? Because you said you had a corporal and an officer and 2 others that were whereabouts?
I'm currently on vacation this week, but I have a commander that was in Fresno delivering evidence to the sheriff's department and to the DOJ. Then on patrol, I had a sergeant and an officer.
Okay.
Okay, Council, what is there anything else that you'd like to discuss in regard to this budget?
We have a balanced budget right in front of us. I say let's take that now and then work on stuff as we go.
Okay. Ray?
Yeah, we have a balanced budget in front of us, but all the numbers, as we know, are not perfect, and they're not going to hit where they're at. So we may start off the one at 27, but we may end up a little bit lower, a little bit higher. So you know what? Though we would love to have that extra cop, that's a big bite right now, trying to balance the budget.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have no problem getting an extra cop. I mean, $40,000? Is that what Tony said? Let's go through the budget and find $40,000. Shouldn't be terribly difficult in a $9 million budget.
Okay, we can do that if you would like to. Where do you want to start?
Well, I would say the $10,000 in our travel budget. I think we could. That's a start.
Okay. Anybody else? No.
So I have a question. You're willing to cut the $10,000 from the travel budget to possibly ask for it again, which may or may not put us in the hole, but you're not willing to go in the hole for public safety?
No, I would not ask to travel this fiscal year if we took it out of the budget. I'd say no traveling at all.
So how do you grow your network and your contacts and bring businesses and companies to Coalinga?
Well, that's what we're paying. What are they called, Marissa? Who's the company we just hired for that?
Oh, yes, Chriscom and EDC.
Yes, I would expect them to do it with the money that we give them.
Okay. Anybody else? Any Marissa, you got any ideas?
Unfortunately, I don't. We, as staff, before we even presented the budget to you the first time, we went through and cut everything that we could come up with to cut. So the only other thing I can think of is maybe there's some compromise with the council. I know it's not an ideal situation, but we do have some potential revenue coming into the city that we would start receiving in early September with the outdoor cultivation. So maybe, you know, by the time, I don't know, I mean, maybe that's an option. Maybe there's a compromise in that we can fill that school resource officer position in early September, assuming that tax revenue comes in, and fund it with that money until the school picks it up. But other than that, there's not much room here. I can tell you that for the outdoor cultivation and the consumption lounge that are going through the process that may or may not be approved by the council, we budgeted $0. So if either one of those go through, that's going to be additional revenue to the city that's not reflected in the budget. And so that would help to not only balance the budget, but we would have a surplus. So whether you choose to deficit spend now or whether you want to hold off just a short while to make sure that that revenue comes in, that's one idea. But as staff, we've gone through and cut everything that we can think of to cut from the budget before we had even given it to you.
And we do appreciate the cuts that you know, you guys went through with the fine comb. So for my sake, I would rather hold off until we see what that revenue does. Since we can't find the extra, or not extra, because there is no extra, since we can't find that $30K, because I mean, that $10K for the travel isn't going to cut it.
Right.
And I think that there is a misconception with some members of the public and understanding where money comes from and how things are funded. So I've received, or I've read on Facebook, I shouldn't say I've received, I've read on Facebook that people have ideas, well, you can cut from here, or you can cut this position, or you could lower the number of bodies you have in this department. But really, that doesn't work, because most positions are funded by enterprise funds. And so you would have to, even if you eliminated every position, it wouldn't impact the general fund. The general fund primarily pays for police and fire, and we're trying everything we can to not touch existing employees. So there's not negative impacts to existing employees. Basically, what you're talking about right now is whether or not to fund a vacant police officer position, which has good opinions on both sides of why it's needed and why it can or can't be afforded. So I think it's just whatever council is comfortable with. If you're comfortable deficit spending to get that body, or if you want to make additional cuts, or if you want to hold off on waiting to see what the revenue looks like.
What?
So,
Megan, are you? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right, Megan, are you around?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Hey, so I do a lot of traveling and I stay in a lot of hotels. There's all kinds of fees on there for the city that I stay in. And it's hard to believe that every single fee, sometimes there's 8 or more, every single one of those went to the voters to get approved. Is there something we can do with that? Like a $5 bed fee, something like that?
I have to look into that for you. Yeah, I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head.
So let me ask this question, Jasmine. So if we choose to just keep this budget as it stands right now, and we fill that vacant position, and then once we determine whether Ocean Grown, what are they going to do, what kind of funding is coming in, can we do a mid-year budget review and then address that at that time?
Yes, you can.
So there's your answer.
Sorry about that.
Is everyone agreeable to that?
So what about Mayor, if we gave up the 10,000 travel and there was no travel, not come back to council and ask to travel, there was no travel, no league $25 dinners, no conferences, nothing, then that takes that out, and that leaves us with a $20,000 deficit if we fill this open officer position, which we could fill now or whenever between now and the end of the year if the school, if they haven't decided if they're going to fund it come January. And if the cannabis starts in September, like the city manager said, there's potential to, definitely we're going to get more than 20 grand.
What do you think about that, council? Anyone?
So,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I hear Ron.
Now,
Right here,
myself, I say leave the budget as it is. We'll deal with it in September.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Ray?
I agree.
Tanya?
No.
Adam?
Why September? What's September?
That's when they're supposed to start planning, supposedly, so we'll have a lot better idea on what our revenue is going to look like.
And the thing of it is we can do a mid-year budget review, or if you want to call it mid-year. I hope I'm saying the appropriate term there, Jasmine.
You are,
Oh.
and also at any given moment in the year, the council has the option to apportion additional funds should you see additional revenues surface.
Right. So I think that would be the easiest way, and it's not like we're cutting ourselves short, but because we're dealing with an unknown right at this very moment. It's just like Adam says, if and when, if they plant in September, they say they're going to, but unforeseen circumstances. And I think it's important that we fill the position. I really do. If at all
It's only
possible.
3 months away. I mean, backgrounds and all that usually take, 6 months, Chief? Do we have someone that's in the pipeline, or where are we at with that?
Yes, I currently have one that is in background right now. So if we stay where we're at right now, I would have to stop his background in the process, unless I'm currently testing for sergeant. If I promote from in-house, we'll be able to backfill that spot. But if I bring somebody in from outside, we will stay where we're at staffing wise, and I won't be able to bring that other person on.
Right. So approximately how many more months does this person have in the hiring process before you would hire them? Assuming everything goes perfectly.
If everything goes good, he's probably got another 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Is there any way to slow it down to September?
That's just putting a hold on
Can
everything
background
we're at
please
right
walk
now.
to places instead of driving?
The position could be put on hold, if that's what council wanted to do. If you're adopting the budget as is, we can do that. But there's also a possibility that this person could be brought on because, as the chief mentioned, we do have a sergeant vacancy right now, and if someone internally gets the position, then that opens up a potential officer spot.
So then that would take someone back to the beginning of the hiring process, which will take several months.
Correct.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
so it'd be just the same as if we're saying, let's wait till September and see if they start planning.
Yeah, it looks like that would be the best way to go. If you want
I
to.
have another question.
Yes.
It seems that this is a merry-go-round with public safety, with always having a hole in the bucket. We get an officer, once they're cleared from training and they're on the street, then we lose an officer. For whatever reason, more pay, different community, whatever. So this is a cycle. And so adding another body for, let's say, a $20,000 deficit, which it's just on paper, I don't think everyone's clear what that means.
No, I get it. Since we're having a sergeant opening, okay, we may hire in-house for that sergeant. So that's going to move one officer up to sergeant. Then we have that will leave us with 2 openings in the patrol division, or we'll just call it patrol. So the guy that's in background right now may fill that one position, and then we still have one available, which is going to make them have to go through the whole hiring process all over again, which is obviously going to take several months. So by the time September rolls around, we really haven't lost anybody.
Exactly. That is correct.
I have another comment. What about the overtime from PD between now and then because of all the stuff going on?
But
And what if Magic doesn't come help because they're busy with stuff other places and that's waylaid a little bit?
Well, I guess we'll see in September. We're not going to get 2 officers. We're not going to get 2 officers on patrol by September. It's just not going to happen.
No, you're not going to get that.
Even if we did approve, if we said yes, let's hire another officer, it's not going to happen by September.
Council, this is Chief Blevins. I will know
Yes.
more what direction I'll be taking tomorrow. I have my interviews are set for tomorrow for the sergeant's interviews, so I'll kind of have an idea which way I'm going to go, and until I have my chief interviews, if I'm going to go in-house or out.
Okay. So I would like to recommend that we approve this budget as is, still that one vacant position, and then by the time that you go through the process, that'll be around like a month or 2, whatever you guys came up with, and then we'll go from there. If necessary, we can always look, as Jasmine said, at a mid-year budget review. We can bring that back at any given time to see where we are.
Mayor, this is Megan Dodd. I have a public comment also.
Okay. Thank you.
It's from James Vosberg. He stated that we should maintain a balanced budget, and if we see additional funding, then we could consider adding the policeman position later.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, is everyone agreeable with that, or would you like to discuss this further?
Yes, I'm agreeable to passing the budget that we have and then looking at September to hiring another officer.
Okay. Ray?
I agree.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do the consent calendar, and I'm going to read it, and then we'll just do a motion to approve it or not. Okay, the first item is adopt resolution number 3969, adopting budget for fiscal year 2021. And item 2 is adopt resolution number PFA 2001, adopting a budget for fiscal year 2020-21. Item 3 is adopt resolution number SA 335, adopting a budget for fiscal year 2020-21. Item 4 is adopt resolution number 3970, annual gun appropriation limit for fiscal year 2020-21. Do I have a motion for approval? Motion. We have a motion. Do I need a second? Ray made the
Okay, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Singleton,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Stoltz,
No.
Mayor Lander.
Aye. Motion has passed. Resolutions are all passed. And from my point of view, thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Jasmine, and staff for all your guys' hard work. It was very, very difficult to get this down to this far. We went from a $500,000 deficit down to $20,000. That's pretty, $20,000 plus. That's pretty darn good. A lot of hard work there, and we appreciate it very much. Okay, City Manager, do you have any announcements?
I do not, other than to remind everyone to follow or to like the City of Coalinga Facebook page. And also we have our Meet the Chief event for our new fire chief tomorrow at 10 a.m., I believe, 10 a.m. And the information is available on the city's Facebook page.
Okay, and council members' announcements? Excuse me. Seeing none. Mayor's announcements, I have none. I do have one request. Just one request, please. And the request is this, is that when we have such an incident as a shooting in the city, or several that we just learned about right now, it would be nice if we're informed when that happens. It's a little difficult to learn after the fact. Anyway, if we could work on getting that information out to the council in a more timely manner, it would be really, really appreciated. Any future agenda items? Seeing none, there's no closed session, and so at this point, the meeting is adjourned. I thank everyone for working together to get this budget passed. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.